if somebody does come with their hand out,
Yeah.
it would be hard to fulfill that, or harder, I should say, not impossible, but harder. You still got money in CDs and things of that nature, and so on. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I think if the state would change something, they would have to honor what is already on the books.
You would like to think
They can do anything they want.
Well,
but obviously this year, nothing's gonna change. You go into legislative session in 27, and who knows?
It'll be a hot topic.
oh yeah.
So that tells you, I guess, what I'm trying to do. Now, if I mention that there might be something that Extension could do to paint themselves in a new light, it would be utilizing one of the employees to go outside of that office perhaps and give an assist someplace else.
So in
That's
the Harrington paper this last week, Foster County is actually putting it on the ballot to ask for 2 more mills for the county extension. They're at 2, I think, and they're actually going to ask for 2 more just to cover that.
Mill and a half, aren't we?
So
It's
it's, yeah, which they're having the same problem as us, it's not covering that department, so.
That doesn't have anything to do with
Money,
the
money.
research issues, does it?
No.
we're at 183 last year. So it'll go up just a teensy tiny bit here because A, our value declined, and B, they're asking for just a little bit more. So I don't know what it will be off the top of my head. It was 183 last year, so. Yeah, general fund was at 53.84, and something tells me it would be less than 52.5 with this plan going forward, even with the decline in valuation. So it allows us to keep a gap there. If you'd asked me a year ago, I said for sure that's gonna keep closing up to 50, or to 60, excuse me. What I didn't know was what was gonna happen here and what opportunities would present themselves. So, you know, and I'm trying to be cognizant of the fact that part of your job as commissioners is to sometimes deal with fallout that occurs from the employee group when they say, oh, whatever the bellyache is, okay? But I guess this fits with a philosophy of mine: never ask of others what you're unwilling to do yourself. Okay? I think I'm living what I'm trying to guide here. So, all right. Where do you want to go next? Because we've got other ground to cover
Yeah,
here.
I think you need, because I'm not speaking for the group, but we're increasing taxes by 11%, not keeping them the same, correct?
Correct.
Don't know that. Where are we spending that money for? What can we spend that money on? Let me rephrase it.
Right.
What can we spend that money on?
Anything road department.
Salaries, equipment, piles of gravel, but salaries also.
Anything related to the road department, yes.
So that level, yeah, that's.
Anything that's paid out of what is that account, which is highway tax and road fund.
I think a lot of people missed that fact. They heard we got 11% increase, and everybody that's working here with wages more than
You can't spend 1 cent of it on this office, that office, that
No,
office,
But
that
the
office,
mentality is there.
sheriff's
So
department.
it's specific for the road department.
But
But the
yes,
statement,
yes and no, because we've been taking money out of the general fund since World War II to pay for the road department, and now we won't have to, which frees up money in the general fund. Right?
your statement
You're
gets
correct. Yes, you're correct.
That's what
But
people-
that being said, you can't go crazy over there too.
No, I'm not saying that.
The last thing, okay, the public will have no sympathy if we went through this and in 5 years it doesn't work,
Right.
okay? It had better work. Okay, and that's gonna take a conscious and cognizant understanding by everybody. Okay, you can't just be me with my hair on fire saying, no, you can't, you can't keep buying equipment, or you can't do this, or, you know, you gotta remember what we're trying to accomplish here is to deal with some of the infrastructure needs that we have.
Well, that's right.
And
that was the one thing when Boone and I met, we really didn't talk about that 11%. That's
Right.
We're talking real money there.
But-
It's $500,000, you know, so.
But
Do you
it's
bank
always
it, do you
got-
save it, do you, know,
Right.
what are you gonna do with it?
We gotta watch that, because, I mean, you've made the statement, money's money, but that money has to stay with the road department.
Yeah.
Rather than the general fund paying for the road department, they have their own money.
But the general fund benefits from this levy.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, it takes a certain amount of pressure
That's
off.
just like this
Yeah.
one down here.
You're not
Where
gonna
they
just
want.
be giving them that 11%.
No.
Plus what
Right.
they were getting before.
No.
Right, no, we're not gonna do that.
It's,
I think you guys gotta remember, you gotta be a little bit realistic. You're never gonna get that road department in the black. Because at some point, you are gonna have to buy equipment. Equipment wears out. And the minute you start buying some blades, you're gonna be right back down there.
Well, and I guess I'm trying to know and understand what is truly unknown. And that is, right now, we've got 9 blades. Okay? A guy retires, or 2 guys retire, or 4 of them retire. How many are you gonna have?
Well, hopefully you fill those positions.
Well, I'd like to think, but at the same time, do you know that?
No.
Okay, what value does a $500,000 piece of equipment have for you if you don't have anybody that can operate it?
Well, that's very true. That's another scenario.
And then you have to, okay, so the money that you're spending, and yes, there is a give back, to the tune of about $135 grand right now from the townships that are paying that $100 a mile, which we know doesn't cover the cost of that. But where are you going in the future with that? And I'm not trying to suggest anything. I'm not even sure you're gonna be able to provide the service in 6 years.
Well, I guess that's the whole point. You're just,
Nobody can predict anything in 6 years.
no.
Right.
That's just a beast that's gonna be, it's gonna always be there. The road department is gonna give you a big expense.
But, and you've been on the commission the longest of anybody here, I believe,
Yeah.
okay? Were you having conversations at the very beginning that you didn't know if you could fill positions?
Not as much as now.
Okay. Because I'm trying to go back 16 years or whatever it is that you've been on, thinking I doubt you were having that conversation.
It was always a struggle though. Remember, we always got 2 summer part-time help, we could never find them, and it's not as bad as it is now, but yeah, it was nip and tuck there too.
Well, although years ago we had always 3-4 summer helpers, which was easy to fill. But they were just
A
summer.
lot of young kids would,
Young kids.
but they don't.
Yeah, but even, I'm saying, think back at blade operators.
The blade operator.
They really have never had, even back then, if you had put an application in, you might have got 1 or 2 guys. There wasn't 6 of them.
But the
Right.
point is, most of those guys, those positions never changed.
Well, right, we haven't filled any in the
Right.
last 10 years.
So those guys got a lot of years in, don't they?
Well,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I mean,
Tristan Shimke's new,
Yeah.
relatively speaking. Call is new, Schmees is new. I don't mean new, but less than 10 years.
Yeah, those junkies,
Bullshit.
So you got half your department that's still on the last 10 years, and the other half that's been there house longer than that. So you're trying to envision what that might look like, but I don't have any
And you just don't know that. For instance, young kids that came in, there's probably other people out there that'll fill those jobs down the road, you don't know.
So, when we added to the capital projects fund, we just had our second tax season for that this past year. You'll have your third one coming up. That was to generate $250,000 annually to be able to match grants. That's what we're using the last 2 years' collection to build that bridge north of town here. Okay? I look at this as twice as much annually as that.
Right.
Will assist us, takes $1 million to finish this road out here, county share, if all comes to fruition. It would take you 4 years of that capital projects fund to be able to do that project. This allows you to do that. The other thing that you've got coming back to you in 2027 is your federal dollars, assuming there's any left. You had been borrowed out through 2026 to finish your Brennan project, which is about $250,000 a year if it comes back. Okay? Between capital projects, between this mill rate, and between those federal dollars, now you can address effectively your infrastructure. And not just one thing every 5 years. You can do the deferred maintenance pieces, whether it's highways, whatever that is. 71 or
71
whatever.
is gonna be an issue.
Yeah, that's gotta be next on the list.
This county highway 1, you got a brand new bridge going there, but the road itself is not, that's gotta be addressed. Okay,
It's gotta be.
you're gonna have the capacity to do that. What you're not gonna have the capacity to do is address those things and go back to blind 8 blades every 5 years. No chance, zero, none. Okay, not a chance. So you gotta figure out how to get those out to 8 to 10 years minimum. That's your path forward.
So in essence, on the Bremen Road, if we would have chose to grind that road and return it to aggregate, we'd be sitting pretty good.
You wouldn't be in the pickle that you're in, but, hey, it's a nice highway.
No, I'm not, but I'm just saying,
Serves a purpose.
there's certain things that cause a lot of
You
this.
can look at a lot of different things, I mean, if
Right.
mill increase went on 10 years ago,
I know,
you
I
guys
know.
would have done that,
Yeah.
that would have helped out big time. So, you can look in the past, but
Right.
plan for the future.
And I think what this presents is an opportunity where
You got some options now.
you do have options, and it doesn't have to be us and them, or we and they, or,
Yeah,
okay?
well, it's definitely, it's a step in the right direction, no doubt.
And
Yeah, it makes this group, it's just easier to plan. We've got 11% more money than we thought we were gonna have before the election. And we're not promoting, saying that we blow it all, spend it all, but I'm saying,
The future.
this meeting would be much more difficult if we wouldn't have done this.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, had that not passed, it would be sweating bullets, and what do you have to do to get it to pass in November? Because your next chance will be in June of 28, and now it's 2 more years have gone by.
Yeah.
So, you do have to be mindful, and it was important before they planned. Okay, it's probably even more important because you don't have a forgiveness piece if this doesn't work right. All right, so it sucks to be you or in your position because sometimes you're gonna have to say no. Or require that there be some thought put into this. And I still, I don't think Jason Mayfield should be the one who's planning everything for Wells County. And I don't, any more than I think any other engineer should be planning everything for
Right,
Wells County.
it should be our
Wells
decision.
County needs to be
Right.
planning for Wells County. And not be Jason said, or I can't think of it, Brian said, or, you know, whoever. No, we need to figure out what we are going to address. And because the guy from CAT comes out here and gives you an amazing offer, it needs to be about Wells County, not what we can do to help you sell more equipment. So,
I think the drip Dan doesn't like, blade salesman.
well, I'm just
It's
saying.
just a joke.
I know.
I don't like him either. I mean, I like him, but it's a necessary evil.
It's their job.
It is, I'm not beating him up. Well, we should always have that conversation, I don't know, I don't mean to overstep things, but, you know, long-term, like Dan alluded to, and we can go into hock again with federal dollars. We can borrow 3 years ahead,
4, I think.
or 4 years ahead, that's $1 million, okay? And you got this 11%, you got this. What do you wanna do with it? Here's the little problem I have, and I'm gonna ask Dan, before I approve the overall budget, I wanna know the general fund ending balance, historically what it's been from the last 3 years, what you think it's gonna be this year, what you project it to be at the end of 27. Guess, that's it, guess. Because you need a cushion, there's no question about it, okay? But how much cushion's enough? And if it gets higher than what it's historically been, are we gonna have pushback from the public? And how much is enough? And everybody's personal budget's that way. You might say $5,000 in the bank is good cushion, Boone needs 50,000, Dennis needs 2 million, and, you know what I mean? That's a really hard concept.
Well, you know, as far as blades go, there's been some issues in the road department. I'm not gonna bring any of them up, but I'm gonna have a solution to help this. I've watched a lot of blades over the years. Some places have packers. Some places have the reclaimer in front, pull up the dirt and the spring right away with the packer on the back. That saves multiple trips, guaranteed. So, with the farming mentality that we are used to when we were kids, and we plowed, I don't know if you guys remember that, but when it came to putting the crop in the spring, they started that tractor up with that plow, that thing ran a long time every day. Had different people running as it went, but it got the crop in. And so my point is, if we had one specialized maintainer like that, and we started out early in the spring, going around these roads and pulling that, pulling a little bit with that reclaimer and with the packer on the back, and just started that in one part of the county and just kept that sucker rolling, not saying day and night, but kept it rolling through the, maybe through the weekend to get that first game. Because once that road is shaped in the spring, it tells a lot of story of what it's going to be like the rest of the year. Now, is that feasible? I don't know. But it's a suggestion that we could have a piece like that. Now, the next suggestion is this, and I've been watching a lot of roads. There's a lot of roads from the intersection to 500 feet, maybe 1,000 feet. Need attention. The rest of the road is good. Boone's been doing some of that. With the road groom taking the washboards out and things like that. So there's a lot of times when a road doesn't need much. When it's really dry, all you're doing is wearing cutting edges out, but the corners need attention. When it rains, that's when they need attention, because they can go and then get back. So those are things I've noticed. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I don't want to be an expert. These are things I've noticed and giving some suggestions. So
That, that's an excellent point, because we tell these townships for the $100, we're gonna blade them once a month. The number of bladings per year has nothing to do with the condition the road is in.
Exactly.
And people don't understand.
Does that washboard, when you take them out of that room, do they stay?
If it's wet, right?
There's a lot of townships that think they should fix all these potholes, but they're there to maintain the road, not to go dig this out and fix them all the time.
That's the township's issue.
That's a township issue.
Yeah.
They're there to maintain the road, not to fix
Not to build
everything. Not to build the road every time they drive these semis over and tone them out.
And he's exactly right, when it's dry like that, you look at wasting your time out there. Where the intersection, I like that idea.
Yeah.
We got some roads out our way, they drive the same track, and that track is that much deeper than the rest of the road.
That's crazy.
Well, most of the gravel roads are not wide
Right.
enough to do anything different.
I mean, you can move over this much.
Right,
You
it's a
can
good
move over
point.
10 inches.
You
The
can-
combine's full that you gotta get unloaded, they're not gonna be flush where they're driving.
in that, I think going forward, and this isn't off the subject so much because it's gonna save the county money, we need to put more emphasis on shouldering and getting the crown of the
In the
road.
spring,
in
you're
the
going
spring.
over.
I'll give you a quick example, and I know you guys are tired of hearing the road past the farm, but in the fall of '24, they spent like $4 million from the Sells turnoff, 11 miles. They spent COVID money, west. They packed that thing, they put clay on it, they packed it some more, millions of gallons of water they put on it. They bladed that road twice in 2025.
And you could drive 80 miles an hour.
They've bladed it twice this year, and you can drive 90 miles an hour on that road
Well,
if
I
you
wouldn't
want.
go 80.
Well, 80, okay.
I've been on that.
Okay,
road a few
so
times.
is it a good blade operator? Is there just something magical? No, there's a crown in that road. When you cross it, you better slow down. And it's new,
Packed, yeah.
it's new, it's packed, it's
Yeah.
all that stuff. So we put so much emphasis on the poor blade guy. If you had more roads like that, go past Monte Knudsen now, they finally put that clay on
Yeah,
that
that
road.
first, that first mile, that's wonderful.
It's tremendous. They don't have to blade that once a month now.
Bottom line is, that's the problem, the roads are crap.
So,
But before we're off,
well, but long term, that would help costs if you put more emphasis on that in the spring and used a groomer or something. I'm into Kansas.
And
The
then-
next piece of equipment we should buy is
And
a
then
groomer,
you-
not a blade.
then you could probably eliminate some blades.
Or
Or this
have
stuff
them
you
go
wanna
from
put on
year
it,
9
like,
to year 10.
you
make
run
them
that
slower.
16 hours a day in the spring, he wants to put on a blade, run that 2 8-hour shifts, 5 days a week. To get this pulled up in the spring,
I know.
I mean,
We've talked
right.
about it before.
Do all the blades currently have the disc for the front?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, but that's in the center, I'm talking something off to the side. And I'm not saying that has to be, maybe we could get somebody to do this. We've got some pretty good capabilities of engineering within our road department. If you told Bucky, and I'm not picking on him and I'm not praising him, I'm just saying the facts, and you told him you want that disc over there sticking out, turning that stuff up a little bit, you know well he could do it. And he's got the capability. I'm just saying, there's ways to do some of this without, because that shouldering thing, that root knot,
early in the spring.
yeah, but that reclaimer, that's about $40,000 a year.
Those could be good winter projects for them, because they need stuff to do. Then.
Right.
So,
But I mean, there's capabilities here.
one other point I'm gonna make,
Go ahead.
besides the roads, though. You mentioned if we get the federal funding, what are we gonna spend it on? I'm not defending the engineers here, but a while back, we asked them to check, or to evaluate all of our roads and see what priorities we need. That was the one thing we asked.
And that's fine, but it still has to be through us.
It's
Oh,
got
that's
to come
county
back
issue,
to us and
okay,
decide
how do you
which
get
ones,
here,
right?
there?
But they make the priority list, of course, because of
Sure.
the need.
Right.
That's the point I want.
And I don't think this is off the subject because we're talking money, road department and all that. I think our next big concerted effort would be to try to convince Kidder County to somehow apply for funds to get, what's it, 71?
Yeah, south of 71,
South of 71 paved.
to the other pavement that's there.
Yeah, and I think that would help us get state money.
To
That
fix
grant
that
money
9
to
or
fix
11,
that
9 or
9 or 11 miles.
We can't get one county to help pay for benefits, how we gonna give them?
Good
Well,
point.
you know what they run into at Kidder County? They were fixing a road, okay? And this is the guy that was hauling the rock, he's pretty sharp. Over.
Gene Dutton.
Yep, he was doing a road, fixing a road, and they couldn't keep going because they ran out of money, because the engineer cost too much. For this bugger, he probably knows more about building roads than all them engineers do. He could have built that road without an engineer saying, I'm just saying, there are people like that, but you have to, justify that.
But that section would never, ever get paved without
Definitely.
prairie dog or
No,
grant,
he
or
was, this
grant
wasn't a
money.
paved road, this was a
And-
gravel road.
Yeah, but
But that would
if we
be,
could convince Kidder County to do the bookwork so you could have a application so you could have a concerted effort.
and that was the argument of the Bremen to connect this paved all the way through.
Okay.
And that would be
East,
the
west.
argument there.
Well, you'd have a good argument in that the whole farm to market,
Yeah.
economic development, all that, yes, you put into a letter to apply for
North and
that
south,
stuff.
paved.
Well, even if they would do to that road what you guys did to your road out the farm. If that road south of 71, that road has problems.
It's too flat.
Yes.
Well,
But I'm just
Where?
saying, if it was a decent road of some form, it would make more sense.
okay.
Okay. We got a little bit off subject, but it all
Well,
kind of
long
adds
term,
up.
we gotta look at those options as far as the road.
Okay, let's examine the bottom of this first sheet that we were looking at.
Oh, yeah, this,
All right,
this is our favorite part.
the longevity plan, when we went and discussed this last week and at our staff meeting, it really, kind of twisted and turned and really didn't go anywhere, so, the plan that I put here just shows similar to what they had written down. And put 425, right now a step is about $650. There's only one place where it's not, and that's in like 3, it's like double that. But 650, I think it's 640, 60 and change or something like that. And then you get to 20 years, that's it. If you get COLA injected, that's your rates, okay? So they did everything from say that the gap should get bigger in year 21 and get larger, $1,000 a year. That seems counterintuitive, why you have.
Did everybody get that
Tammy,
from Tammy?
Yeah. So it's gotta be something of a declining value. I didn't find anything from any of the counties that I reached out to. If they did have something, it was a declining value. There are counties that start declining after about the 5th year, okay? And it'll go 100%, 90%, 80%, okay?
Oh, really? Yeah.
All right, so if you, and what I have on the sheet here says 425, 325, 225, 175. That was just an example. Okay, so in the first 5 years, instead of 646, we'll go 425. The next 5 years, 325. It's a declining value. All right, we have 4 people that'll be off the salary schedule right now. Janelle Pepley, Tammy Rorick, Oliver Bromke, and myself. Okay? Oliver Bromke and myself certainly haven't been here for 20 years. So when you're talking longevity, you gotta be talking about people who've been here for at least 20 years. So that leaves you with 2. You're gonna have more than that in the near future. You've got the Carla Johnsons of the world, Brent Keller, who else? Jan Mulder. They're all gonna tiptoe towards 20 here pretty fast. They're in that 17-ish range, things like that. So it'll be a couple of years, nobody else gets there next year, and I don't think the year after, but then after that, you're gonna start seeing dominoes start